Young, and the Restless recap, April 17th. Nikki blows off Victor's warning. The Young and the Restless recap for Thursday, April 17th, sees Nikki blow off Victor's warning, while Diane warns Jack not to be so sure that Victor is done with them. Plus, Nate tries to warn Audra about trusting Victor, while Claire fails to get the full story from Kyle. In the Jazz Lounge, Kyle, Michael Miller, and Claire, Haley Aaron, talked about Audra's Zuleika Silver cryptic warning. Kyle thought he would have heard something if Audra was back in the cosmetics world. Claire wondered whether it was purely business-related, but Kyle assured her that his past with Audra had been just a fling. However, he got frustrated and wanted to change the subject when she asked more questions. Kyle apologized, explaining that he didn't want to relive the Glissade deal. Claire understood. They returned to guessing Audra's next move, and Kyle confidently predicted she would ultimately fail. He mentioned making his father proud at work, but didn't tell Claire details, and asked him not to shut her out. Kyle said it involved sensitive information, and she got upset. She felt frustrated that he wasn't sharing everything with her. He apologized and confirmed that it was related to a suspicious employee. Claire guessed that the person was working for Victor, Eric Braden, and Kyle eventually admitted it. Swearing her to secrecy, Kyle revealed that Victor had planted the spy inside Jabot. Claire was stunned. They couldn't pinpoint Victor's intentions, aside from targeting Jack, Peter Bergman. Claire had heard warnings about her grandfather, but seeing his manipulations firsthand upset her. To lighten the mood, Kyle invited her to dance. Meanwhile, at their table, Nate Sean Dominic thought Audra had relished tormenting Kyle. He wondered if she had revealed too much, but Audra said she hadn't. She blamed Kyle for ruining her life, but Nate reminded her that Victor had also played a role. Audra admitted she missed being in the thick of things. Nate wondered about the point of making Kyle uncomfortable, but Audra said Kyle needed to know betraying her was a mistake. She accused Nate of being a buzzkill. He said that she should be more worried about Victor than Kyle, but Audra said she could handle anything. Audra toasted to herself. Jabot was her prime target. Nate pointed out the similarities to the failed Glissade venture, but Audra didn't care. As long as she achieved her goals, she was fine with Victor using her. Nate doubted Victor's intentions and wished she had partnered with someone else. Audra told him to relax. She said Kyle and Claire's relationship was doomed. Nate wondered why she cared, and Audra claimed she was just making an observation and suggested they dance. As they danced, she glared at Kyle and Claire. At the Newman Ranch, Victor and Nikki, Melody Thomas Scott, had dinner. He mentioned his meeting with Michael, Christian LeBlanc. Nikki wanted details, especially about his plans concerning Jack. They argued, and Nikki reminded him how Jack had saved her. She warned Victor that interfering with Kyle and Claire could alienate their granddaughter, but Victor wasn't worried. Nikki suspected he planned to sabotage Kyle and Claire. Victor denied it, and said Kyle would ruin things himself. They shifted the conversation to Chancellor Winters. Victor wouldn't offer advice, but mentioned something big might be coming. He hinted that Dumas was targeting the company and had already spoken to Billy Jason Thompson. Nikki said they were ahead of Dumas, but Victor warned her not to underestimate the situation. At the GCAC bar, Diane, Susan Walters, joined Jack. They were relieved that Martin, Christopher Cousins, had been locked up. Jack told her that he and Kyle had discovered Victor's spy in Jabot, but Kyle had flipped him into a double agent. Jack was impressed and believed their son had grown into the man they'd hoped he'd become. Diane was uneasy about the spy. She asked whether Victor's scheming began during the Glissade fallout. Jack didn't think it mattered. Diane suggested retaliating against Victor, but Jack didn't want to stoop to his level. He mentioned seeing Victor earlier and bragging about his happiness. Jack also said that Michael had been relaying Victor's instructions to the spy, which shocked Diane. Jack told her not to let Michael know she was aware of his actions. He worried things might get worse now that Claire and Kyle were thinking about moving in together. Diane wasn't thrilled. She had hoped they'd all live under one roof. Jack told her the kids would need support, especially with Victor working against their relationship. They toasted to a future free of Victor's interference.